Hello everybody, I'm Abhasu and welcome again to my course on NIST Risk Management Framework. So in the last session we have discussed about the preparation task at organization level. So in this session we will be discussing about the preparation task at the system level. So here we are having the 11 tasks. So let's discuss them one by one. The first is a mission and business focus. So what do we mean by the mission and business focus? Identify the mission, business functions, business processes that the system is intended to support. So this is moreover like we need to prepare the scope of our work. So which all business processes, function and mission which we are trying to tackle in this risk management, current risk management process. So why do we do that? Because business function influence design and development of mission or business processes that are created to carry out those mission or business function. The prioritization of mission or business function derives investment priority, funding decision, resource prioritization, risk decision, and thus affect the entire enterprise structure, development of associated security and privacy structure. Information is alighted from stakeholders to acquire a more thorough understanding of the mission, business functions, business processes of an organization from a system security and privacy perspective. Now, our second task is stakeholders. So what do you mean by the system stakeholder? This is basically identify the stakeholders who has an interest in design, development, implementation, assessment, operation, maintenance, or the disposal of the stakeholder. Now, who is stakeholders? Who all can be the stakeholders? Stakeholders include individual organizations, representatives that have an interest in the system throughout the system life cycle for design, development, implementation, delivery, operation, sustainment of the system. It also include all the aspects of the supply chain. Stakeholder may reside in the same organization or they reside on the other organization. What do you mean by the other organization? As a third party, third parties we are talking about it. So this is what we are having the system stakeholders task. Next is asset identification. So here we are talking about identify the asset that require protection. Now the asset can be the tangible or intangible item that are of value of achievement of mission or business objective. Tangible assets are physical in nature, include physical environmental assets, which is non-digital. Tangible asset can be your building premises, the desk on which you're sitting, your servers, your physical servers, your chairs, all those can be the tangible assets. And the second is non-tangible asset. If we are talking about the non-tangible, the intangible assets, actually we tell them intangible assets are not physical in nature and include mission and business process functions, digital information, data, firmware, software and services, information assets. So these are all called as the intangible assets. So we need to identify what all are the tangible and intangible assets which we want to include in our this risk management uh, boundaries. So this is what we are having as asset identification. The next is the authorization boundaries. What we are having as authorization boundaries determine the authorization boundaries of a system. Authorization boundaries establish the scope of a protection for information security, and that is what the organization agreed to protect under its management control within the scope of its responsibility. Authorization boundaries are determined by authorizing official with input from the system owners based on mission management or budget responsibilities. A clear declination of the authorization boundaries is important for accountability and for security categorization, especially in situations where lower impact systems are connected to an high impact system. So we need to define the authorization boundaries. The next step is the information type. Here what we need to do, identify the type of information to be processed, stored, transmitted by the system. Identify the type of information need to support the organization mission, business functions, process is an important aspect in developing the security and privacy plan for the system and precondition for determining the security categorization. So here we are just defining the type of information. Let's suppose if you are in any organization, financial organization or retail organization, where you have a data, you are having the credit card data, you need to be compliant with PCI DSS. So one of your information is credit card information, your on then your PII data. So um, you need to identify the different type of information that you want to handle through this risk management process. Next is information LC means life cycle. What do we do here? Identify and understand all the stages of the information life cycle for each information type processed, stored, transmitted by the system. The information life cycle describes the stages through which the information pass, typically characterized as a creation or collection of information, processing, dissemination, use, storage, disposal, or include the destruction and deletion of information. So from the time we get the information, what is the complete cycle which we are doing? Let's suppose if someone comes us to purchase something, the information collection starts from when that person swipes the card. Then we have a card detail when we put the customer entry inside the system, like name, email ID and phone number. Then through the system, through the network, to the switches, routers, firewall, it's going to a server. So to the server, if any other party is taking care of, so what all different equipments are it has passed. So that is how the information life cycle is inside the organization. We need to identify that. Next is risk assessment. So if you remember, we did the risk assessment at a organization level as well. So now we are doing it system level level as well. This is conduct a system level risk assessment and update the risk assessment result on an ongoing basis. This task may require the organization conduct security and privacy risk assessment to ensure that each type of risk is fully assessed. Assessment of a security risk, including identification of threat sources, threat event affecting asset, whether and how the assets are vulnerable to the threat, the likelihood that an asset vulnerability will be exploited by the threat, and impact of loss of the threat is a key part of an risk assessment. Assets are prioritized based on the adverse impact or consequences of a asset loss. So this is what we are having a risk assessment. Next is a requirement definition. Now, define the security and privacy requirement for the system and the environment of an operation. What the security we are expecting from the system. Protection needs are an expression of protection capability required for the system in order to reduce security and privacy risk of an to an acceptable level while supporting the mission or business need. So this is what we are having the requirement definition. Next is an enterprise architecture. What we do inside this enterprise architecture, define the placement of system within the enterprise architecture. As enterprise architecture is a management of practice used to maximize the effectiveness of business process and information resources to achieve business success. An enterprise architects can provide a detailed understanding of the information and operation technologies, including in the initial design and development of information system, and is prerequisite for achieving resilience and survivability of those system in an environment of increasing sophisticated threats. So that's why we need to look into the enterprise architecture. Now our next thing is requirement allocation. Now we know what are the requirement, what are the system, what are the assets, then what are the different types of information, how the information are flowing, what are the stakeholders. Now what we need to do, we need to allocate the security and privacy requirement to the system and to the environment of operation. Security and privacy requirements are allocated to guide and inform control selection and implementation of organization system element, and environment of operation. Requirements allocation define where control will be implemented, the allocation of required requirements, conserves resources, and help to streamline the risk management process by ensuring that requirements are not implemented on a multiple systems or system element which implement on a common control or a system level control. So next we are having the system registration. So this is our last task which we need to do. This is basically talks about register the system with an organization program or management offices. System registration is according with the organization policy, serves to inform the governing organization of planning to develop the system and existence of a system, the key characteristics of the system, and expected security and privacy implication of the organization due to the operation and use of the system. System registration provide organization with an management and tracking tool to facilitate bringing the system into the enterprise architecture, implementation of protection of the commencement with risk, and security and privacy posture reporting, and according to the applicable law, executive orders, directions, uh, and regulations with system inventory. So here we are talking about whenever we are having a new system, we should register that system, so it will be part of our inventory. That can be an hardware inventory, that as a system level or physical system, or if we are buying any software or application, then inside the software inventory. So that's all what we are having for the prepare task. And now we have discussed about both organization level and system level. So going in the coming classes, we will be discussing about the other steps. What are the tasks for other steps of risk management framework, and how we will do it. Thank you.